Yeah. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Just fine. How are you?
What's your name?
What?
My name's Beauregard.
What?
I was just wondering, you like music? You do a podcast about music?
Yes?
That's what I heard from your neighbor. If you like music, you got any money? You want to buy this dirty tambourine? It's dirty. Take it.
Oh, wow. I feel good touching that. We got the COVID and all. I'm good, thank you.
Just hold it for a second.
No, it's okay. Thank
Just
you.
try holding it. Look, listen, it still makes tambourine sounds. Just try holding it.
I think I'm good, thank you.
You in the market for any cat bones?
Who's that crazy cat? He's sitting in a corner with them long eyes. Who's that crazy cat? He's looking like someone dragged him in from the alleyway. Who's that crazy cat? He's laughing like he's still got 9 more lives. Who's that crazy cat? I said he looks a lot like me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Hello.
These bits just stand. They get worse and worse.
That wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I said I wasn't going to do any bad character bits from now on. That was a good character bit. I'm not happy with the name Beauregard. Not happy with the name Beauregard. I was like, I just needed to come up with something. I didn't have a name for him.
I couldn't tell if you were supposed to be a cat. I wasn't sure.
No, he's
who
just a
you
creepy
were.
guy that walked up to you while you're doing a
right.
podcast. He asked you your name, but then he knew you were doing a podcast. That guy's iffy. You got to watch out for him.
It's true.
Yeah.
Big Relient K news this week.
That's right. Put down that dirty tambourine. Get ready for your New York tickets, because who is it? What band has just announced that they are playing in New York City, the city of apples, as I like to call it? Why, it's none other than the band Relient K, the band that we talk about every week. They finally have announced a new show, March
18th, 2022.
I'll double check that. Irving Plaza.
I feel like you should have been prepared.
I should have been prepared. I feel like I'm just prepared. I feel like it's all up here. It's all up here. I don't need to look at the phone.
Steel trap.
We're steel trap. We're way too caught up in our devices nowadays, expecting, information to just be given to us freely. No, I've got the information. You want it, you come to me. Irving Plaza 2022, Relient K is doing their first show back. It's actually like pretty significant for New York City as well, because sort of like here in Los Angeles with all our famous venues that have been shut down for the last year, and as some of them have made reopening plans, they make these like big grand announcements of like, we are reopening and here's our lineup and here's our plans and all that stuff, like the Hollywood Bowl's doing it right now. Well, Irving Plaza is a very popular venue in New York, and it's great that Relient K and Irving Plaza made this press announcement and this thing. It's like, we're back. And Relient K is pretty far down the list. They're all the way in March, but they're opening this summer, Irving Plaza, and Relient K is part of it.
Exciting stuff.
So we had, did we even have a chance last week when we talked about Sahara? No, Africa? No, Sahara. When we talked about Sahara, did we had any of that Thiessen leaked text conversation gone out? I don't think so. I think we have to catch up a little bit. So for anyone who didn't see it, and it was so funny, like as I'm posting about it on social media, who's like not catching it and who's catching it for the first time from a joke that I made off of the fact that it's happening. But basically, Thiessen had for real, this is not a joke, Thiessen like had a conversation with someone by DM or text or something, and then a screen cap was taken, and it was basically Thiessen said, news coming Monday. Everyone who has a direct line to Thiessen or a pseudo direct line to Thiessen or open DMs or whatever is like asking him like, when's the tour, all this stuff, and so someone got an answer for him that says, just keep an eye out on Monday. Well, officially Relient K, the band themselves, and Thiessen's social media and Hoop's social media did not say anything on Monday, but Irving Plaza released their press release about their, reopening schedule, and Relient K is part of it. And then auto emails from, Live Nation, if you have alerts for Relient K, those automatically went out. And Facebook events like, that were published, those automatically went out. So it's like if Relient K had a plan to make a special announcement directly from themselves or not, maybe they didn't, maybe they just knew it would get out there from all those other sources. It got out there. So we start talking about it, Reliable J starts talking about it, people start talking about it. As the hours go on through the day, I'm making jokes about it. And like I said, some people are just seeing the jokes. And on Instagram, I posted a picture of the Facebook events post, which is not like I said, it's not a big post. It's just like a generic Facebook event if you follow generic Relient K on Facebook.
Right.
And someone replied like, oh, I'd give my organs for this to be real. And I'm like, it is real. And I'm like, that's what I've gotten us to on social media because of all my little jokes and all my little trolls. It's like, I announced that Relient K for real is coming back and is playing a show in March 2022.
And everybody's just like, this guy.
It. So then I was like, well, how much are those organs? We had a verbal contract. So it's real. And there's no information about tickets right now. When we're recording this, like the day before the episode comes out. So as of this episode coming out, there's no information about ticket sales yet. Some of those Irvine, I say Irvine because we live in Los Angeles, Irving. Some of those Irving Plaza tickets are on sale now. You can keep an eye on is irvingplaza2022.com. That's like the special website that, for real, I didn't make this up. I'm not trolling. Irving Plaza with a G, 2022.com is like the special landing page they made for this whole concert series that involves a lot of people. There's like Lagwagon and Neck Deep. Those are like the only bands of like the pop punk thing. But then there's lots of other... I made a joke about Moonchild. I'm not familiar with Moonchild, but they're on the list. Lots of other bands. So people are making plans. Brady already has his hotel booked because, hotels are easily canceled.
Yeah.
But he's not... But he told me he's not buying his plane until he has a ticket, queued up. So that's kind of... And we're going to do our best to make it out there as well.
Yep.
And, this all follows that Schneck tweet about Schneck being at the 1981, I always want to say studio, but it's not a studio. It's
headquarters.
Like headquarters or like lab or whatever.
Yeah.
And, so...
No, I have to say, the guys are together, they're hanging out, seems like they're practicing. They can't just be practicing for a show that's happening basically a year from now, right?
No, I'm sure not. There's got
to be another announcement coming soon.
What is that? Hold on. We're March, April, May. So that's 2 months, less than 12. That's 10 months away. 10 months from now, within the 10 months from now to then, there's lots that they could do.
Sure,
they could write
new
music. So I was just saying online that I would really, really like... Actually, I'd like all my favorite bands, to follow this formula is the MXPX formula. Like, since they're self-titled, and they were working on having this business model for a while until the self-title, but it really set off once MXPX released their 2018 album. MXPX has an amazing business model that any band with a really devoted fan base can do. And it's basically, you have your home base in your town. In this case, it would be Nashville. And yes, Hoops moved to Florida, but the core of Relient K at this point, and the core writing group is Thiessen, and Hoops does some writing as well. So Thiessen could basically have your home base, write songs, release them 1 or 2 at a time every month or two. Instead of working on one big album, you release a couple singles. This is what MXPX does. And then when you're about to release a big song, you book like 3 or 4 shows that are fly-tos. Like, you don't tour in a bus anymore.
Right.
And especially people who have families now, this model seems to work really well because Tom and Yuri both have families and jobs. They have real jobs, and they're able to stay. And they almost left MXPX entirely in the early 2010s because of the demand and stuff and how the music industry had pretty much collapsed. So like they MXPX went ahead and made this insular world just for them where their fans come to them. It's basically like having a Patreon, but it's open and it's free and anyone can find it at any time and it doesn't cost anything. I would love it if Relient K did that. Thiessen just sits at home, writes Relient K songs, get on the Zoom with Hoops, work them out, then start recording them, and then release them, and then book like 3 or 4 shows in one specific region of the country, go play those songs, along with like a big set list. Because if you only release 1 or 2 new songs instead of a full album, the new album also doesn't get in the way of the classic like hits that you have to play.
Sure.
And this is what MXPX does, and it would be amazing if Relient K did this same sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So they could be working on music, and I guess that there was before COVID, there was a second Earthquakes album in the works, and that's taken a side step and everything, but who knows how much stuff was in the works before COVID. And it seems to me we have never talked, we've said like what all the questions we've had. I'm just so happy, first of all, that Relient K is definitively back.
Yes.
Because so many people come to us, which I love people coming to us, but so many people do come to us and they're like, what's up with Relient K? Is Relient K over? Are they done? Are they gone forever? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't really have proof. And some of the proof that I had is actually like stuff that we were told by people that we, can't just openly talk about.
Right.
And so I knew they weren't going away forever. And I'm glad it was like, no, look, they're doing a show in March. Who knows how much stuff is going to happen between now and then.
Yeah.
Relient K is back. Relient K is officially back.
That is the big news.
That's the big
Relient
news.
K is back.
Yes.
They're not done.
They're not done. They're still together. Who knows what new music and stuff and like more shows we're going to get.
We don't have a lineup announced yet, so that'll be kind of probably the next announcement to come. Mm-hmm. It's exciting stuff.
It's exciting stuff. Super happy. Years ago, a year and a half ago, early in this podcast, like what was it? And when did the first announcement of the fan curated vinyl was like within 2 or 3 months of us starting the show.
Yeah, it was pretty early.
And I got clickbaity by the week that we did an episode when the fan curated vinyl was announced and voting opened. We did What Have You Been Doing Lately? Because the joke was, what has Relient K been doing lately? And we were so positive that, like, this is a good sign. They're putting a greatest hits together. But then later, other people got nervous and said, oh, the greatest hits, it means they're ending and they're looking back on their career. Like, oh my gosh. Well, I got clickbaity with the title of our episode, and I called it Relient K Returns and What Have You Been Doing Lately? Like, now I just tried to keep our episode titles clean. It's just the song title and maybe the guest, if we have a guest. But I got clickbaity. I was like, I do want to have one episode where the words Relient K are in the episode title because it's better SEO. I've since then removed that because in the end, yeah, Relient K, that was an official project, but it wasn't really Relient K returning. So my point is, I should call this episode Relient K Returns and Cat.
You certainly could, Danny. You certainly could.
Yep.
You're such a troll. Like, sometimes I'll just walk by and I'll be like, "What are you doing now on the social medias, Danny? Who are you bothering now? Who are you harassing?" We finally finished the Q docuseries, and I swear there were points during some of that where I was like, This isn't you, right, Dan? Like, this isn't you just trolling people on the internet, is it? Like, sad that your own wife is like, oh, I could see this being you.
You shouldn't be saying this because this reflects poorly on me. I'm not Q. But
not cute.
But if I was, everything you just said is going to turn up in a court case if I'm ever officially accused.
You're not cute, but I could see you doing something like that. Don't give spoilers.
Is that Ron? Oh, sorry. No, well, it hit the news. Like it was like what was that? What was that murder one that came out a couple years ago? The chase up, the scoop, the rich guy who might have killed his wife, and then a couple weeks after the show came out, he was at a CVS and got arrested.
The Jinx, yeah.
The Jinx.
Because at the end he doesn't realize that his love is still on, and he basically admits that he did it, and then. They can't use that in court, though. That's not admissible,
especially because
the
documentary filmmakers held on to it for the sake of their story and not for the actual justice. But I bring that up to mention because it's a similar reveal to the Jinx as is in this QAnon documentary, and because that hit, it was in headlines the minute people had seen the last episode of that QAnon documentary. Like, the headline said, the guy in the Jinx basically admits it. And then the end of the QAnon documentary, the headline said the Q revealed, and like immediately. So even I can't really spoil it. Everyone else has already spoiled
I guess
it.
that's true. But yeah, Jinx. The Jinx is such a good docuseries. It's, man, docuseries can really go either way, where personally I don't love a docuseries where the documentarian inserts themselves heavily into the project. That is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because it does seem like you're less impartial that way, and you are trying to give a little bit, a little bit too much of your personal bias when you insert yourself as a character in the story.
Right.
So I do kind of go back and forth, and like it's always like certain documentaries I kind of take with a grain of salt, because you really don't know if you're getting the truth or if you're just really getting one sort of side of it. And one thing I liked about the Jinx was that they did not go out trying to be like, this dude did it. Like, you went episode by episode going, no, he didn't do it. There's no way, to, man, this guy totally did it, to, no, he couldn't have done it, to, I think he did it. Did he do it? I think, no, he couldn't. Wait, maybe? It was like, so I love a good documentary where you really are left going, I just need, as you just get pieces of the puzzle, and as they unravel, at least with crime documentaries, you kind of get. Anyways, this isn't our documentary podcast. We're talking about Cat today.
But first, we have some voicemails. We have voicemails from new listeners.
Oh.
So here's the first one.
Hi, guys. This is Lindy in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I'm pretty brand new to listening to the podcast, and I absolutely love it. I've been hoping to find something to listen to that I enjoy on my hour-long drive to work every day. And, this has been really awesome, diving back into listening to Relient K and info and cool stuff and facts. And I wanted to just, chime in because I'm currently only on, one of the very first couple episodes. And you guys were talking about the kickoff and pressing on. And I just thought it was kind of funny because when I was in middle school at the time when the song came out, I held up my little flip phone, cell phone, to my CD player and had Pressing On playing in the background, and I thought it was so cool. So anyway, I love the podcast, and this is the first time I've ever called a Google Voice, so hope it gets played. We'll see.
I love it. Thank you for listening. It's going to take a minute for you to hear this, though, if you go in order.
Yeah. I know that anyone listening new won't hear this if they're not doing it, but when I get into a new podcast, the way I like to do it is I listen to the most 3 recent episodes, and then I go back and start, if I want to listen to it from the beginning, then I go back to episode 1 and start listening to it from there. And I have to knock out 2 or 3 episodes a week, because when the new episode comes out, I go back to that. And you're basically parfaiting it, I guess.
Sure.
You're doing 3 old episodes, the new episode of the week. 3 more old episodes, the new episode of the week. And as much as you can stay on that pace.
I did that with the first season of Critical Role, which was by the time I got into it, was impossible to catch up on. So it was I would listen to whatever the new episode was, and then go back, and it's because it's a narrative story, you do have spoilers because you're so much further in with the new episodes. But I was going back and watching from the beginning, being oh, okay, now I see this origin and that origin, and yeah, it's a good call. Also, shout out West Palm Beach. Woo!
Oh, that's right. We know people who live there. And
we know that not everyone in Florida is awful, despite what the QAnon documentary might say and the news in general.
It's funny.
I love my fellow Floridians.
So thank you very much for calling. And I remember I used to work so hard with flip phones to try to make my own ringtones, but they would always be so big. And it's a very technical feat to try to do that. You make it on your computer, then you'd have to get a cord that would connect your computer to the phone, or you'd have to Bluetooth it over, and this is older Bluetooth. But inevitably, whatever file I would make would be too big for the hard disk. So basically, one cool ringtone I'd make would max out the capacity of the hard drive on the phone.
Yeah, I would just, like, pre-iPhone, I would always just buy whatever the coolest, like, ringtone I could from the Singular store or whatever it was, the, like, very old-timey download center for that.
Oh, and she called back the next day.
Oh,
so here's
nice.
Lindy again from West Palm Beach.
Hey guys, it's Lindy from West Palm Beach again. I have no idea if this is how this is supposed to work, but I was listening to Chapstick this morning, and you guys mentioned geotagging. And then somebody had hidden a geocache with the title of Chapstick, Chaplips, and things like chemistry. And I just wanted to call and be like, yeah, so this is what that is. I'm one of the nerds that still does geocaching. And basically there's an app you can get, and you look in your area, and people can go to these little places and hide little, sometimes it's like little plastic bottles, or they'll hollow out like a fake piece of fruit or vegetable, or like one of those fake rock looking things. They'll put like a little piece of paper on the back, and then you put your initials whenever you find it, hence why the like treasure hunt thing is a thing. And they're called muggles when they are the ones that are not aware of what's going on, just like in the Harry Potter franchise where muggles are not supposed to know about wizards. So muggles in the geocaching community are the ones that are not aware of what geocaching is. And I am probably one of the like older not older, I mean, I'm in my 30s, but mostly geocaching I've seen is done with like families and young kids when they're bored and they just go out and do this stuff. And yeah, it's really fun. But anyway, that's my insight on geocaching and muggles.
Well, that's cool. We've just recently had an episode in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't remember it now, where we found another geocaching video, right? And I didn't understand. I didn't remember we talked about geocaching back during Chapstick, but it makes sense that later in this recent episode we did where we found another geocaching video, and he's hiding a little capsule, like a little tiny capsule with a message in it. I'm like, that's what geocaching is? I thought it was all virtual. Like somehow I thought it was...
We're such muggles.
Yeah, we are muggles, but even before Pokemon Go existed, I thought it was something like Pokemon Go. I thought it was you get a GPS coordinate and you go there and you've collected that you've been there.
You like scan something.
You scan something. I didn't think you actually find a physical object. So we did find out that it's physical objects, but I had no idea about it. They're called muggles or whatever, so that's funny.
But thank you, because I understand way more now.
Yeah.
now that Lindy called up and explained it.
And then we have voicemails from David Ketch, and we still have like 4 more voicemails from months ago. From ones from March and stuff. But here's another new person. Let's give all the new people, since Relient K is coming back and now's the time.
Yeah, who needs the old listeners? Let's just bring on the new.
So here's another voicemail from someone who's new.
Hi, my name is Kate. I'm calling because I've been listening to your podcast for the last month or so. I was a big Relient K fan in high school, early college. And I've been meaning to leave a voicemail for a while, but I was about to scream on my drive home today because I had a really rough day at work. But I was listening to the 5-Hour and Frenzy episode, the crossover episode, and you read my blog, like my blog that I had in college, which I even forgot still existed on the internet, and I completely forgot that I had even written that post. So when you're reading it, I was like cringing at my younger self. I posted that in 2010, so I would have been 21. I'm a couple years younger than Jessica, I think. And I was just finishing my junior year of college. And I was looking back, and I'm like, yeah, I posted a lot of stuff. And I think it was because I was like thinking about doing like music journalism at the time. Like I considered it. I don't know. I honestly could not tell you why I wrote that post, because that would have been like during finals week or like right after. So maybe that's why now it sounds a little cringy and unhinged. But also, please don't give me a hard time for not knowing how ska music works, because I only know Five Iron Frenzy a little bit because of Relient K and because of like the songs that I mentioned. And I'm really disappointed that I didn't link the YouTube videos that I was talking about in that post about the kids in their basement reenacting the Saga of the Pants. Very much like most of the indoor children making videos in grandma's basement that y'all talk about a lot on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, this is like
This
my
is your nightmare?
worst nightmare.
Well, she seems to be in good spirits about
I
it.
always feel so bad.
And she tweeted at us about it, too. And to be perfectly honest, I hadn't heard this voicemail by the time I saw the tweet, although the voicemail came first. I don't remember. I don't remember what blog it was. Do you remember?
New listeners, this is just a good note. Danny is like a ska gatekeeping motherfucker, so you just have to deal with it.
But it's not gatekeeping in the sense of keeping people out. It's gatekeeping in the sense of keeping toxic ignorance out. That's really what it is. It's constant, because unfortunately ska is a very misunderstood genre, which is fine. Lots of different forms of art are misunderstood. It just so happens that when people willfully misunderstand, when people look at ska and they say, "Oh, ska is just a bunch of dumb white people in board shorts and Vans shoes up on stage dancing like idiots." It's like, yes, well, there are bands that do that, but then like I'll pop in, I'll find you subtweeting ska, and I'll say, oh, hey, ska actually has its Jamaican roots, and it's music from Trinidad. It's Black American music, like jazz and R&B combined with Jamaican mento. It's like a black music. And then Jamaican immigrants moved to Britain and met white working class people who created this political music out of ska in England in the 70s, and then it goes to America, and where they just make it fun, but they understand the roots, and then a bunch of suburban white teenagers start playing it, and it's goofy, and it's the only one you see, but that's not what it is. And even if you add up all the bands, the goofy white crappy music doesn't make up the most of ska music by half. It doesn't. And then people will reply, and I won't say all of that, but I'll say something that's the gist of that, and they'll be like, I don't give a fuck off. Like, I don't give, like, I'm like, but like, you're willfully erasing the work of black artists from generations ago, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I know that not everyone does that, but
I don't think that's what Kate touched on in her blog. I don't remember the specifics of the ska conversation in the blog, but I don't believe it was that.
She didn't. I'm saying this to explain, because gatekeeping is such a bad thing in certain connotations, that I'm gatekeeping accidental racism out of ska. And some people don't understand what I'm talking about because they don't know what the music is I'm talking about. But all I'm saying is, just be aware that ska is a very, very racially diverse music and was created by black people and was colonized fully by the teenage audiences, not even by the artists. Not even, there's all white bands in the 90s. That's fine. They understood the roots. They knew what was going on. But then all the Warped Tour kids couldn't give two shits about the actual history. And now, 20 years after that, all of those Warped Tour kids are in their 40s, and they've all got families, and they're all working from home, and they're all going crazy. So they go on Twitter, and they go on Instagram, and they go on Reddit, and they're like, ah, ha, 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 ska music. Look at us being white kids with white ska, the whitest music of them all. And I'm like, you're erasing cultural relevance. Shut the fuck up. Like, and it's so enraging.
Many bleeps this episode.
I know, and it's enraging though, because it's like, it's always the case of like, people look at ska, and I'm sorry, I'm not talking to our new caller.
You're not talking to Kate. This has nothing to do with what her blog was, and now I'm like, I feel like I need to go back and reread the blog right now.
I don't remember what we talked about, but let's hear the rest of her voicemail.
basically, ska is a really hot button issue for Dan. So don't be offended if he gives you a hard time about it, because Danny gives everyone a hard time about it. Danny gives like ska scholars a hard time about it.
No.
But I've also been meaning to call in for a while because both of you remind me so much of me and my wife, just in a lot of things, but specifically when it comes to animation. I love animation, and I've always been super into it, and I've thought about, like, doing, like, writing more for animated films, and I've had to, like, force my wife to watch it because she's like, I don't want to watch another movie where I'm going to cry because, like, a tree with a face in a Pixar film, like, lost its child or something like that, which sounds a lot like a lot of the reasons Jessica does not like animation and is more into live action, the same reasons that my wife is also more into live action and not animation.
Exactly.
And then it looks like the voicemail cut off. But we do have one more voicemail from Kate, so let's see if this touches back on the same subject.
Hi, it's Kate again, following up with what I was saying. The other thing that is similar between my wife and Jessica is that they both are big fans of Nancy Drew and mysteries. But, like, there's been a lot of times where I'm listening to your podcast, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, like, literally me and Maddie. We have had this conversation before. And we also live in LA. That's unrelated. The other thing I was going to say is that VeggieTales, because I also was super into VeggieTales, definitely, like, in middle school and as a teenager. Like, I was not the target demographic, but I really agree with you. This is because I was listening to the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything episode yesterday. I really agree with everything you were saying about, like, how VeggieTales is really similar to the Muppets in that it's, like, very clever, family-friendly humor, and I'm also a big fan of the Muppets. But also in the last year since quarantine, I've been, like, I slowly introduced my wife to, like, some VeggieTales songs, because I was, like, she did not grow up religious, and I did. Even though my parents were never like, you must only watch, like, Christian things, because I grew up Catholic. It's more, my parents were not, like, that strict. I learned about VeggieTales from our Protestant neighbors, and I would watch it while I was babysitting them. Or maybe I learned it about it from some other friends. Anyway, I got super into VeggieTales in middle school and early high school, and would quote it all the time with my friends. But when I showed my wife the cheeseburger song, she was like, he doesn't get the cheeseburger at the end. And so she was also upset, but not as... She does sing that song. She was more upset about Pizza Angel because he doesn't get his pizza at the end, which I get it. That makes sense. I was also going to say, I think I have commented on your Instagram. I think my Instagram is still at the Artsy Writer, but my Twitter, which I'm more active on, is Strong Gay Arms, and I may have tweeted at the podcast. But anyway, please keep doing what you're doing. It's been making these last few weeks of driving to work a lot better, because I'm a teacher, so I've been working from home most of the year and not listening to podcasts because I didn't have the commute, but now I have the commute, and I look forward to it, actually, because I get to listen to your podcast. Yeah. Thanks for being awesome. Bye.
Well, thank you, Kate.
Thank
you
you
so much. That's amazing. It's great to hear from new people. Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Lindy, for calling in. Sorry to David Ketch and some other people who also have voicemails that we'll get to soon.
This is great. I love hearing from the ladies. This is awesome.
Thing.
Girl power.
This is girl power. Because we're talking about cat this week, and cats are obviously all female. Cats are girls and dogs are boys. I'm just kidding. So we got a girl dog right there. You know I'm joking.
Also funny that we did our Patreon episode all about April yesterday, and today we're talking about cats.
She's very offended. Yeah, we go to Patreon. We didn't post a preview of it, but we did the whole secret history of April, our dog, and there's a big surprise at the end. Very exciting guest joins us on the podcast. But we're still sticking with we're kind of going on a little connected theme here. We went from Africa which references wild dogs in the night, but it's Africa. We went to Sahara, which is also in Africa, but there's a cat in that. So now we're here with another cat song. And then next week, we're off to space to see the space cats of Thundercats. They are space cats, by the way. But I'm really scared about next week because I don't know if you know this, but Thundercats, you know, that are the basis of the song Lion-O, they fight a mummy. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't want to see a mummy. Just kidding. So we're talking about cat this week.
So many cats. And we touched on this last week, but so many cat references in Relient K songs, especially on Air for Free. So it makes perfect sense that they would finally, especially on Air for Free, the album, have a song called Cat.
Just fully devoted to cats.
Yeah, there's a cat mentioned in Local Construction and Sleepin' and this song, all on Air for Free. And yeah.
And there's lots of previous cats as we tried to figure out. There's I Am Lion-O. There's technically the interlude to I Am Lion-O called Lion Wilson. There's the two Lion Witch in the Wardrobe songs, which you can debate if they fully mention cats, but it's still cat adjacent. Then there's Sahara. So many cats. Almost as many cats in Relient K music as there are cars.
I was going to
many
say
cars, and it's one letter off.
We should compile a complete list of all the car songs and all the cat songs. Like, which one does Relient K mention more? Cars or cats?
1877 cats for kids.
I thought you were going to say cars for cats.
Cars for cats. 1877 cars for cats. So,
when I hear cat and song in the same sentence, my head goes to, other than Cats the Musical or Cat, the 2019 movie based on the musical Push by Sapphire, I think Cat in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, Little Boy Blue and the Man in the Moon. Or I start singing Forgiveness by Samantha James, a.k.a. Anna Faris's character from Just Friends. Because she's like, in that song, she's like, just like the Cheshire Cat says you're running out of time, meow. It's a great movie. Go watch Just Friends if you haven't seen it. It's hilarious.
Amazing. I just have to sidebar real quick. My friend Jeff from back home, he was just like at his mom's house today. I just got this text message, and he found his copy of the POD Warriors EP signed by the band, and he's like, look what I just found.
Hilarious.
I'm like, that's so great. I have my POD lunchbox signed by POD. Anyway, sorry, total sidebar. It just happened to come in, and hey, it connects to Christian music podcast. I really like this song. The song's a banger. I'll be honest. I thought for a long time that this is my second least favorite song on the album. I thought for a while, my least favorite song on the album is Local Construction. We've already done that. From there, Local Construction is like just the most song I'm adverse to. Like, I'm like, it's okay. I just don't. There's something about the rhythm that I just don't enjoy. It really comes down to the rhythm of Local Construction. Everything else on Air for Free fits me just fine. Like, some songs are great. And some songs are just like, that song's pretty good.
Where do you fall on Empty House?
Empty House is on the it's pretty good section. I know you hate that song, but I don't have the problem that you do. I guess I have the problem with Local Construction that you have with Empty House, although they're two different reasons. It's the same, like, just personal, deep-seated DNA is somehow against the content of that, the musical content of those songs. But Cat, I thought, for a really long time, was a song that I was just like, after Local Construction, the least interested on of the whole CD. I would put on Cat and I'd be like, yeah, whatever, and I'd skip it. But then forcing myself to listen to it this week, I was like, I basically had the exact same reaction as Savannah, which I know is a huge controversy for the Relient K community, but unfortunately for a long time with Savannah, because it's like the slower, slightly weird is a wrong word, but the slower, more experimental thing for Relient K on that album, I didn't get it. I didn't allow myself to get it. I didn't take the time to get it. And when we dug into it in the podcast, I was like, oh, I really get it now. I was so wrong not to get Savannah for all this time because it wasn't rocking enough or whatever. I felt the same way about Cat. I was like, I don't get this song. From a surface level, I didn't get the song. And now really listening to it and diving in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get this song so much. And it's maybe not as deep as Savannah, but I still get it so much better than I did.
I do like this song quite a bit. It's very groovin'. I feel like musically, it could appear on an album between Collapsible Lung and Air for Free. It's a nice marriage of both albums' vibes, and that totally works.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't figure, because I don't really know pop music that well, but the detractor of Collapsible Lung that everyone references when they don't like that album is how every song sounds like a different pop band. This song sounds like a certain kind of pop band you would hear on the radio in the last 8 years. I can't quite place it, but particularly the hook of the section.
Yeah.
That sounds like something. I can't place it.
It does.
Even if I could figure out the song, I wouldn't remember the name of the artist connected to that song, because when it comes to the big radio hits, I just don't pay attention that much. But yeah, Cat, it sounds like a radio song, like the Collapsible Lung songs do, but I guess just it feels more genuine than Collapsible Lung often feels to us when we're deep diving into that album.
It's kind of a more intriguing Don't Blink. Like, I would put this, like, in the same sort of category as a Don't Blink.
Right. Also because lyrically, Collapsible Lung is so surface level, and I'm not talking about worldliness. I don't care. I'm not talking about that. But there's not like a lot to deep dive into the lyrics of most Collapsible Lung songs.
Yeah.
Like the title track, yeah, but everything's kind of there. Like the deepest conversation we had from that is like, is he dying or is he just old and he's happy and he's dancing around, like, and he's not dead yet? Like, that's the deepest conversation we've had with that album. But everything else is surface level when it comes to the stories they're telling. There's a lot more abstraction. There's a lot more like, yeah, he's singing about a cat and the cat looks like him, but there's no real exact story. If this was on Collapsible Lung, it would have to have a lot more specific, grounded elements to the lyrics. There's much more artistic or poetic expression happening in the lyrics to Cat.
Yeah, this is definitely a step up from the lyrics on anything in Collapsible Lung, because you do have a little more intrigue with it. The lyrics, I would liken them more to a song off of a Creepier EP or a Truly Madly Deeply EP. It definitely sounds like those sort of like those kind of vibes where it's like there's a little, the lyrics are a little abstract. You paint Thiessen always paints a nice picture. You get a little, does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense.
But I don't have a clue what the opening lyrics mean to this song. Grab another dirty tambourine and shake it, breaking out of a new cocoon. I'll be licking sandpaper clean, good gracious. When it comes, gonna be too soon, oh. Like, I get the overarching theme of the song, or at least what I've read into the general context, that it's just like a fun, goofy song where the narrator likens himself to that of an alley cat. He's just enjoying life, being a little wild, not a care in the world. Like, I get that. It's I see where we're sort of coming from with that. We're sort of in the we're almost a bad friend Thiessen right now in this song. It's just like, but we're cool. We don't have a care in the world, but we know that we're probably going to grow up soon. Like, is kind of the feel that I get from it, talking about that, like, breaking out of a new cocoon sort of thing.
And we also talked about it when we talked about Man, how there's got to be a thematic connection. Not that there's got to be, but it feels like there could be some sort of thematic connection between this song and Man and all the other one-syllable song titles. I think when we talked about Man, I made the mistake of saying one-word song titles. I meant one-syllable, one-word song titles. Man, Cat, God. And then on the Wind Up Bird album, you have Dude, which I really think Dude is somehow directly connected to Man. Like, I feel like if it's not telling a story that is somehow connected, it's like shreds of an idea that made their way into another song, because they're certainly both about late adulthood, or what's it mean to be a man, or what's it mean to grow up, or what, we talked about it in the Man episode. I think there's some sort of odd, almost like magical realism connection to this, which I can't quite put my thumb on, but I think it's there. To say, there's a song called God, there's a song called Man, there's a song called Cat. I think even if they're not specifically telling a story, in the, five score, in the forget not slow down sense, I think they are thematically supposed to tie together somehow, together. And maybe it has to do with what you were just kind of getting at, is like, over in Man, he's like, gotta be a man. Over here in Cat, he's like, wish I was a cat. Wish I was like kind of having fun and just still being a kid. Like, almost like, could the song have been called Kid? And could this song we're talking about, could it have been about wanting to still be a kid? But you put that layer of magical realism on it. You put that level of Mr. Tug-a-Rug, or whatever they're called from the Cats musical. What's that called? Mr. Magoobbins? Mr. Chubsy? Mr. Tug-a-Rug. I'm really pretty sure it's that. You put that level of that on it, and instead of just singing, I wish I was still a teen, or I wish I was still a kid, he sings this whimsical song about basically like pretending he's a cat. Or, there's a cat, and I wish I was that cat, or there's a cat, and I feel a kinship with that cat. Like, it could be multiple things. Like, I can't picture easily a physical story, which is fine for me, but I think I picture, like, there's so many narratives this song could be.
Yeah, I think I kind of get the vibe of, like, maybe Thiessen just saw an alley cat and he's like, you know what? This cat is kind of scruffy, but he's doing his own thing. He's kind of wild. You know what? He looks a lot like me. Like, he's sort of feeling those general feelings of being like this sort of idealized, romanticized idea of this carefree cat life, just like living like you got 9 more lives. That's very much like a, that almost we're going back to that sort of collapsible lung mentality where it's like, yeah, I'm young, I can do whatever I want, there's no consequences. I think that this is sort of a bridge song where it does go along with the themes of Man and the other ones, where it's kind of like, yeah, I've sort of been in this state of arrested development, and now it's time to break out of the cocoon and grow up. It's time to be a man. It's time to kind of move on past this more immature state that I've been in. And I think that God also sort of touches on those sort of feelings as well, where it's like coming to a good place, coming to like a place of peace, being like, yeah, okay, I feel good in where I am faithfully. I feel good in where I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally, as a human, as an adult, perhaps. Whereas, right. I've been kind of like just living my life this one way, and now I'm realizing that it is time to grow up and, look at life differently. And there is a peace in that. There is growing up is very daunting, and I personally have had a lot of trouble with growing up, and I'm finally getting to a place where it's like I'm learning that other side, that like sort of depending on your concept of adulthood, there is a peace in that. There is, you can find pleasure in in being an adult, basically. There are things to find pleasure in that.
Ain't it fun living in the real world, as Haley Williams once said. Sorry, I'm being a goofball. Yeah, and I'm thinking about it going back to Relient K and how, as Hoop said in that Local Wave interview, it's like most people do their crappy punk band and they break up and then they go off and do something that they can be more proud of and serious. It just so happens that Matt and Matt are in the same band they've been in since they were in their bedroom writing silly pop punk songs. So many of Relient K's The Bad Friend Thiessen songs and the sort of self-flagellation songs, whether they are Christian, religiously tinged, or more broad than that, there was so much stuff in early Relient K that was about Matt beating himself up for being a bad friend, or not spending his time in his ministry enough, or not spending his time the way that God wants him to, or not doing, wasting time. So much stuff about like beating himself up for not doing the things he should do. So many songs about that. And then we came across our deep dive on The Lining is Silver, and I really believe when we dug deep into that song was a corner turned, and it was like, I've been, this might not be what Matt Thiessen actually meant, but this is how I interpret it. It's like, five albums of beating myself up over like wasting time or wasting relationships or whatever, and I realized the lining is silver, and I'm the lining that's silver. Like, I'm doing my best. So, like, I believe that everything after the lining is silver should be this other version of self-reflection and aim for self-improvement, whereas those first 5 albums are all about beating yourself up, or God, why am I so worthless, and thank you for loving me though I'm so worthless. And then the rest are like, I mess up so much, but it's amazing, thank you Lord for constantly seeing the silver lining in me. So then a song like this, Cat, and a song like Man are more on that theme to me, and they're even more forward than that, because it's 8 years after the lining is silver, and you do have all these experiences, and you have more understanding of yourself, even if you don't fully understand yourself, and you start to grow as a person, even if you don't feel like you grew in the mold that you saw your parents and your elders around you growing in. You don't think you did the thing that you were supposed to do. You might start to realize, like, oh wait, growing up is whatever you make of it, or being yourself is whatever you make of it. Exactly. It's like the adulthood that our parents reached isn't necessarily the same that their grandparents or their great-grandparents, reached. Like, it changes every generation what it means to grow up, and there's no textbook, because we're living it now, and the people younger than us are going to have to learn how to grow up in a completely different world every time. And the world changes so much faster now. Mm-hmm. The world still changed fast back then. I'm talking like the 20th century, the early 20th century. Every generation, there wasn't a huge generation gap, but there was, things were mostly the same technology-wise, and work and expectation and social-wise. Things were slow to change generation to generation. They change so fast now that however you grow up, you got to just figure it out on your own. There's literally not going to be a book about it until it's over, until they reflect on how that generation went. So just be an adult. Just feel like an adult.
It's more about like embracing responsibility,
right?
I would say.
But also, I think that is true, and I think it's also embrace responsibility, but also don't lose your sense of fun. Yeah. Is maybe what the song "Cat" is kind of getting at. Before we get to our break, I did compare the song a little to Savannah. And I think that's also kind of apt in the production, because whereas Savannah, and we have the benefit of seeing the Mark Lee Townsend YouTube breakdown of Savannah, and knowing that there's trash cans and all kinds of weird stuff in there that's not a traditional musical instrument. There's real stuff in here that's for sure isn't a traditional musical instrument. There's things that sound like toys, and when he sings Dirty Tambourine, I think they're using like school instruments and all kinds of stuff like that, and it's very dense song, especially when you wear headphones. There's so much going on. I really think, Sleepin' is the thematic and even melody-wise cousin or sibling song to Savannah, but I think in terms of production, at least from what I'm hearing, I feel like Cat is more akin to Savannah as well, because it has that feeling of like you just walk out into that Dogma 95 sense of music, where it's like you just find what's laying on the ground and you make music out of it. Like, that's what Savannah feels like, and that's what Cat feels like, because there's
a sound in there that sounds like a bike bell or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's like I'm sure Daniel could explain, but I think there's that pedal that reverses the sound that you play into it, which is always fun, but is like never really in like straight ahead rock music. Like, you actually play a chord or you play a note, and it actually goes through the pedal, and the pedal reverses it before it comes out of the amp. I don't know how that works. But there's so much. It's a really dense song, and maybe in that way makes it more akin to Forget Not Slow Down, because Forget Not Slow Down is such a denser album than a lot of other stuff that they did.
Yeah.
But two other notes is I love the line of music room. It's like, wouldn't you like to have a music room? Really, we want our video store room before we have a music room. But if we had a big enough house, we'd have a music room, we'd have a video room, and we'd have a craft room.
Yes. Craft room. My mom always had a craft room in our house growing up.
And I have a misheard lyric in here. I swear, I got no proof for this, But I think on one of the Who's That Crazy Cat, I think he's just bending the syllable just enough to go, "Hoops, that crazy cat. Hoops. Hoops, that I let me pull it up real quick.
Who's that crazy cat?
You hear it?
I do hear it.
I mean,
That's funny.
like poetry, like we've been saying every week for the last 2 months. Jim Morrison, good poetry is about 2 or 3 things or whatever at the same time. I feel like the line is, "Who's that crazy cat?" But he just did this little thing just to mess with you.
I also like the...
Who's that crazy cat?
Exactly. And I also like that they've got that like wood block or that like fish thing, you know what I'm talking about? That like wooden fish thing that you rub the thing against the ridges.
Right.
You hear that in there
Yeah.
that they always have in your elementary school music room.
I just had another memory of a time talking to Relient K that I don't think I've ever brought up. On the Back to the Few tour, which I believe was, I think chronologically, it's the tour after the big tour with Five Iron Frenzy, the Electric Youth tour. Then Relient K headlined their own tour the next year. So it was a tour with Bleach and Fillmore, possibly somebody else, maybe Ruth, can't remember. I go to that tour. My friend Johnny and I are talking to Hoops at the Axis in Boston. We're talking to him, sort of over by the exit. And then across the dance floor, you know, most of the show is already emptied out, but it's also a bar, so like people don't have to leave immediately. They can stay and drink their drinks. It's a Christian all ages show, but they do have stamps. It's a regular rock club. And so we're talking to Hoops, and across the way, I don't know if it was Fillmore, I don't know if it was Bleach, I don't remember, I don't know who it was, but one of the other bands from across the club goes, "Hoops, let the dogs out, Hoops, 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 Hoops." And then Hoops is talking to us, and he just like turns, and he's like, and then he goes back to talking to us, and it was really funny. That was the same night that Pedro the Lion was playing in Boston the same night, actually like later in the night than Relient K, so they got to go to Pedro the Lion, and I should have gone, but I had to drive my sister home, and I should have gotten back in the car and booked it back downtown, but I got lazy and didn't do it. Anyway, that's all my notes on cats, so...
Well, we're going to go ahead and take our break then, and we'll be back with deep dive stuff. We want to thank you very much for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram, which are both at Sadie Hawkins Pod. From there, you can interact with us, as well as view the videos and images we talk about on the show.
You can also call our voicemail line, which is 402-95-SADIE. That's 402-957-2343. Leave us a message, and we can play it on a future episode.
Also, we invite you to check out SadieHawkinsPod.com, one simple place to get links to all our social media and a link to our TeePublic store.
There you can pick up merchandise, or merch as it's known in the industry. We have our Black Flag parody shirt, our Little Sheet Boy ice cream shirt, and our all-new Boys from Canton ampersand shirts that list the first names of every album lineup of Relient K.
And if you can't get enough of us, well, good news. At patreon.com/SadieHawkinspod, we are releasing at least 2 bonus episodes a month. You'll also have access to our whole backlog, including our discussion of Owl City's Ocean Eyes, reading through the Complex Infrastructure book, and the songs from K is for Karaoke.
Finally, we want to thank our current patrons, who include JR, Jarrett, Eric, Joel, Connor, Michael, Helen, Samantha, Roxanne, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, David, and Brady.
We hope to see you there, and even if we don't, we hope that you will keep us in positive regard. No annotations over on Genius this week, and also no song meanings, but we are revisiting the youngfolks.com and their post, A Relient K Song for Every Occasion.
Ooh.
When you're feeling confident and carefree, listen to Cat from Air for Free, with lyrics about shaking tambourines, living a long, long time, and embracing your inner crazy cat. It's the perfect song to blast when you're feeling on top of the world. The chorus, which features jaunty OOOs and jubilant horns, is nothing short of sonic sunshine. Then we've got a Reddit thread over on r/RelientK, titled All the Lyrics Find Their Meaning Here. And this comment was posted by Light Goose 4 years ago. A thought I had earlier today about cat/local construction. The song Cat seems to basically be about how Thiessen has thought in the past that he's young, never gonna die, and can just live like he's got 9 extra lives. But now he sees the error in that, and is perhaps trying to adopt the attitude of something like a butterfly, waiting in its cocoon until it's time to live. So, with that in mind, Thiessen working on that area of his thinking, in the second verse of Local Construction, he says, the birds interrupt the cat while it's backing up. Now, obviously, the play on words here is that since the song is about construction, cat refers to heavy-duty construction vehicles. But also, he could be referring to himself when he says cat. All that being explained, at least by my interpretation, is he saying that he, the cat, is trying to make these changes in his way of thinking about life, backing up, but he's not been able to do so super effectively because lots of different people, birds, keep distracting him or pulling him in different directions. If so, this could explain, sweet Jesus, I was coming to pray, but all the hip kids sent you running away in Prodigal. In the end, Local Construction seems to be the grown-up version of forward motion. Matt's still struggling with moving forward.
There you go. That's pretty much exactly what I was saying. Yeah, forward motion would be one of the prime examples of that first generation of Matt beating himself up for not developing quick enough. Mm-hmm. And then I think the corner is silver lining, and then this is a much more mature way of handling the situation. I also just want to really quickly say, in saying that songs like God, Cat, and Man, aside from just their titles being one syllable, but how they could be kind of connected in a string of a theme, that's not to diminish any one song's particular meaning, but to say, like, you know, it's all on the same idea of him growing up or him being a man or whatever, and that those topics are complicated. So you could address them in one mega song where it's like, well, I'm kind of a cat, but also I'm kind of a man, and also I still believe in God. Or you could just separate them into 3 separate songs, because things can roll that kind of way. They get complicated, and you might need to do 3 different songs to handle the whole thought.
Yeah, totally. We also have, up next, we have an Amazon verified purchased air for free album review.
Uh-oh. I don't know why I went uh-oh, because just they're verified.
5 stars, verified purchase, a few decent songs. Here's a rating of each, updated. I bought the full album to show support to Relient K because they are my favorite band. 5 scored for Getting Not Slow Down are their best albums in my opinion. But this album is very far from those other albums. Most of this album is bland, repetitive lyrics and melodies. When they released Look On Up a few months before this album, I got really excited. I love Look On Up. I was expecting more stuff like that on their new album. But that's not what I got. A few of the songs are worth buying. Bummin' is a lot of fun and worth a buy. Happy song with catchy lyrics and melody. 7 out of 10. Local Construction is worth a buy. Cool and meaningful lyrics and a catchy melody. Probably my favorite on the album. 8 out of 10. Mrs. Hippopotamuses is fun. I'd say it's worth a buy, but give it a listen before making the decision. Catchy lyrics and melodies. 6 out of 10. Cat is just strange. I don't get it at all. 2 out of 10. Man has a few good parts, but overall it's kinda boring. 4 out of 10. Air for Free, the title track, is kinda boring and weird. Too electronic. 4 out of 10. God has a few good parts, but mostly boring and corny. 4 out of 10. Elephant Parade is grungy and fun if you're into it. 5 out of 10.
Wait, what's grungy and fun? I'm sorry.
Elephant Parade.
Not grungy.
It's
jazzy?
I don't think that they...
know what grunge means?
Well, I don't believe that they meant grungy in
grungy
the
and
style. I think that they mean it more as
dirty,
like... Yeah, which it is. It's a
New
very
Orleans,
like...
It's kind of New Orleans jazz tempered. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. And
yeah.
You could describe, you know, they love dirty rice, so they love dirty jazz. I don't know.
We haven't talked about
Elephant Parade
yet. It's one of my least favorite songs on the album. lot going on there. But yeah, interesting. Grungy and fun if you're into it, 5 out of 10. Mountaintop. I wish they had maintained a little piano tune they opened the song with. That's the only good part. 3 out of 10.
It was just the intro part. So it's interesting.
I actually really like Sleepin' for its harmonies and fun beat. Worth a buy. 6 out of 10. Flower is mellow and has a catchy melody. 5 out of 10. Marigold is only kind of fun with a sort of catchy melody. 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Runnin' is a cool song with a fun melody and a catchy beat. Worth a buy. 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Prodigal uses the same simple piano track throughout the entire song. Pretty boring. 3 out of 10. Heartache is worth a buy. One of the best on the album. 7 out of 10. These are my opinions. 6 out of 10 and above are worth a buy. 5 out of 10 means listen to it and decide for yourself. Any lower than that, I would not recommend. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree.
Interesting. Well,
would you like to know their update?
Oh, yeah.
They did post an update 2 weeks after.
I hate Relient K now.
2 weeks after the original review. I realize now why I didn't like this album initially. It's because I didn't know the songs. I don't want to project my personality on that of everyone else, but I tend to lean more towards songs that I'm familiar with or that I can sing along to, so new music is hard for me to accept. Now, after listening to the album more than 5 times, I can come to a more solid conclusion. That being said, I have listened to this album basically every day for the past 2 weeks, and I'm now in love with it. It is not Relient K, nor is it 5-score Relient K.
He listened to it every day for 10 weeks, but he only heard it more than 5 times.
That's a good point.
Sorry.
Yeah, I went back to read, and I was like, after listening to this album more than 5 times every day, and they've done it every day for the past 2 weeks, you're right, it would be more than 5 times. I was thinking they meant all the way through.
Right.
Like maybe you started, or you just listened to skip around. But.
Or they're saying 5 times to listen to the album is the minimum I need to feel like I know the album. Not to say that they only listen to it 5 times.
Well, they said more than, so.
Right.
It is not Relient K, nor is it 5-score Relient K. In all honesty, it sounds more like Anatomy and 2 Lefts than their more recent stuff.
Wow.
Okay.
Befuddling.
Hot take.
Very
hot take.
Like, I can't even argue because I'm so thrown off by that statement. I don't feel it's true.
Ooh, ouch. Ooh, I just got burned on that take. Like, wow.
I thought something was really wrong.
This album is really completely new in every way, with the exception of the meaningful lyrics that Relient K is known for, which are very pleasant in this new record. I have the feeling that I will be listening to this album for years to come. Thank you, Relient K, for continuing to be my favorite band of all time.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of
verified purchaser.
Speaking of air for free, I meant to mention, nobody's really noticing this, but Thiessen is like just quietly sneaking around Twitter. It's not like he's liked anything of ours, but what's happening is just every week or two, he just replies to someone who mentions him with a question. He's just around. Like, someone asked him, like, what's your favorite MXPX album 1 day ago? And he answered, Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo. Like, he hasn't tweeted a full tweet without being, because there's tweets and there's replies. He hasn't sent a regular tweet since March of 2020, but he's been sending out little replies here and there. The first little reply he sent in this current string was on, and this ties back to Air for Free, the album, was on April 3rd, 2021. Big Ol' Muscles tweeted at Matt Thiessen, quick question, is Otter Water Park admission a reference to the Otter Stadium in SeaWorld / Gawua Lake / Six Flags? And Matt Thiessen, blue check, it's really him, replied, Cedar Point Shores, emoticon, smiley. Not an emoji, but an emoticon, sideways smile. And I don't remember what we came to in our research for Mrs. Otter Water Park admission.
I don't think we came up with anything. I definitely, searched and labored
Right.
over finding that and could not find anything.
Well, here it is now, April 3rd, 2021. Thiessen said it's Cedar Park Shores. 3 likes on the tweet. One of them is us.
Nice.
Nobody's noticing that Thiessen is just answering little questions right now.
Wow. Just creeping around.
Just creeping.
Why not?
Creeping's a rough word for it, but yeah.
Sneaking seems...
Sneaking.
Well, sneaking seems also iffy.
Yeah, but sneakers are nice. Like, hey, I got a nice pair of sneakers, and I'm sneaking around Twitter in my sneakers.
All right, so the last thing I came up with for my deep dive was... Here's what I wrote for the note for this. I don't know how to title this. Celtic Rose Needlecraft counted cross-stitch designs since 2005. This is from CelticRoseNeedlecraft.net. So when you scroll down, it's got like a little cart. You can search for things. It says, I have not spent any Great British pounds yet in their shop. And there's a picture of like 2 Victorian era ladies. It's an illustration. And it says Relient K YouTube. Now, this is not clickable. It doesn't actually lead you to Relient K YouTube at all. And this was posted February 19th, 2021 by, not filled in.
Right.
And then it goes on
This is definitely like a cursed website. But in the real sense of like, you shouldn't be here. There is a poltergeist in this website.
It says,
but it's also shiny and bright, and there's like a nice French painting to like throw you off. There can't be a poltergeist in this webpage. Look at this nice painting.
I just love that it's titled Relient K YouTube. It has nothing to do with Relient K YouTube. So it says, Relient K, my girlfriend lyrics. Sorry, we have to make sure you're a human before we can show you this page. Relient K is an American rock band formed in 1998 in Canton, Ohio by Matt Thiessen, lead vocals, guitar, piano, Brian Pittman, bass, and Matthew Hoops, guitar, backing vocals. During the band's junior year in high school and their time at Malone College, track list.
Citation
Matt actually
needed.
did like it. On June 19th, PTL was premiered through Alternative Press's website.
We just took a giant leap right there.
Empty House, the 11th track on air for free, tells the story of a lonely man following a breakup. There was this time when I was thinking about something inside. I was like, great. Relient K is an American rock band formed in 1998 in Canton, Ohio by Matt Thiessen, Matt Hoops, and Brian Pittman during the band members' 3rd year in high school and their time at Malone University. About Billboard. Empty House is a song to me that is one of my favorites, if not my favorite on the album. I threw an auto-tuner on it and some effects I have on my computer. It's done. Relient K, Don't Blink, live at the Ritz, Raleigh, North Carolina. Official. On May 19th, Relient K posted the album art saying that the album would officially be released in July 2nd, 2013. The auto-tune used in the songs is an odd feature added by Matt in the "There must be an answer" in all caps.
This is the website equivalent of in a movie when they go to see an expert that they need help with some sort of like horrible threat that's coming, and they go see the expert and they're like, oh no, he's gone crazy, because they walk into his apartment and it's all covered in papers and like string connecting things, and he's like I've figured out all about the Omen. It happens in The Omen. But it happens in many movies.
So when I scroll all the way down to the bottom, there are some clickable links. Folgers Coffee Instant Crystals Classic Roast Single Serve Packets. If scientists discover that eating bacon reduces cholesterol levels. Geico Whitesnake commercial.
This isn't a real website. That's the gist of it. I don't really know from a technical point why things like this exist. Or from a logistical point, why websites like this exist, but this is like a mismatch of nothing. And I think basically like bots rove around. Like, you know when you get a weird spam email and it's clearly like made out of chunks of real emails that are just kind of stitched together? Mm-hmm. I think the same thing happens on the web for some reason.
You could still buy their cross-stitch fabrics in their shop.
It looks like a real shop. So maybe that's like a junk or like a slug page that they needed to create, you know what I mean, a slug page. Like you need this one page that exists because maybe the template is forcing you to have it, and you just fill it with a bunch of junk. Could be. But also,
Posted February 19th, 2021.
I know, I understand. I'm just saying, I mean, that looks like a Squarespace website, and Squarespace does have these templates because our page is a SadieHawkinspod.com is a Squarespace website, and they give you these templates, but the templates are kind of confusing because, like, they might give you more pages and more little boxes and stuff than you need, and it's really hard to delete them all and make it shape exactly how you want it, so you're kind of stuck. So maybe they just filled it with a bunch of junk data just to, like, get it out of the way. Or maybe the website's been hacked and it's these weird, spammy things where they just steal info from all over the internet and just junk it into a website for for God knows what horrible reasons. Like, this website needs to exist. There's probably things, how the way follower stuff happens. I was shocked when I discovered when you buy followers, it's not like the follower buying company has a bunch of fake accounts. Like, no, they have a bunch of hacked accounts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
yes.
And they log into your hacked account.
I know exactly how that works, because sometimes I will log into, like, Instagram or whatever, and I'll be like, why am I seeing this? Why does it say that I'm following this quote-unquote influencer? Like, no, I don't know who this is. I didn't follow this person.
So I think websites, when you see these weird, junky websites that are just filled with a bunch of info that doesn't add up to much, that's a similar thing. So thank you very much for that deep dive. That's horrifying. There's not a lot of cat stuff. Still, to, the shock of many, there's more stuff about cat on YouTube than there is for Sahara, which is that's the most disturbing thing we've learned in the last month.
Well, sure, cat YouTube is a big corner of YouTube, Dan.
Yeah, I know. Cat videos are huge and everything. That's why a song like Sahara, maybe cat YouTube is so big, no one wanted to hear a song about a cat laying on its side and its guts and its brains laying on the ground. Maybe Sahara actually has a cult against it, even while it has all the people on Twitter who love it. But there's more stuff for cat, because it's a cute little song. But before we get into that specific cat stuff, we have to talk about, and we don't have to talk about this, but we're going to talk about it.
Uh-oh.
Are you familiar with the concept of vor?
Vor.
V-O-R-E. It is a, fetish. It's a fetish. And it's the name of a certain kind of fetish that is easily and
like voyeuristic?
No, but it's easily and widely expressed on the internet. And what better way than for Wikipedia? And trust me, this gets back into Relient K.
Okay.
Wikipedia will explain. Vorophilia, often shortened to vor, is paraphilia characterized by the erotic desire to be consumed by, or sometimes to personally consume, another person or creature, or an erotic attraction to the process of eating in general. And basically you'll hear about this if it's like, wild, disturbing internet stuff, and then it's like a picture of like Sonic, inside Shrek's belly.
Gotcha.
It's, I'm sorry to throw you off, but this does connect to Relient K. I found the vor community online connected this to Relient K. So basically people just...
How did you not come up with this last week when you had the blood and the guts and the
Well,
whatever?
This is the thing, I guess. I'm not digging any deeper into vor, but when I see it joked about, it's often like Sonic is living inside Shrek's belly. It's not like he's dead, although also it says in here it could be chewing. And it says it's different from cannibalism, because it's just like this attraction of this idea that you want to be like swallowed whole by someone. And it's not exactly cannibalism. It's not necessarily gore. Do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying at all? Like, even I don't get it. This isn't my thing. But I'm just saying this is a kink that exists. It can only be fantasy, because you can't actually shrink a person down or make them bigger and make them swallow a person. But that's the fantasy. They see someone that they love or are attracted to, and they're like, oh, I just want to be shrunk down and swallowed whole by that person.
So
that's kind of what it comes to.
I'm just thinking about Step Brothers.
Was there a line in there for that? What is it?
I can't say it on the podcast. Just like, I just want to roll you up in a little ball and shove you up inside my vagina.
Oh, okay. Well, that's almost it, but they would be, I want to turn you into a ball and I want to swallow you whole. That's vor. It's kind of more fantasy. Cannibalism, we're getting back to Relient K. Cannibalism is like a realistic, gory thing. Vor is almost like a fantasy version of that. You want to be swallowed whole like a little person, like a tiny little shrunk down person. Where does that connect to Relient K? Can you think about it? I'll give you 3 guesses. Where in Relient K's artistic output is vor already existing?
In the Marilyn Manson Ate My Girlfriend video?
You didn't need all 3 guesses. You got it. So I found I don't know how I found it typing in Relient K cat on Wikipedia, but I found a vor YouTube channel that is just like, it's called Vor in Media.
You're on a list somewhere now.
Whatever. This is research, and only a month ago, only a month ago, Vor in Media, which has 10,000 subscribers, 1 month ago uploaded, it's just a compilation of the moments of Relient K getting swallowed, jumping inside Marilyn Manson, or the girlfriend being swallowed whole. How many views do you think this, it's just a 1.5 minute cut down of the original, 2.5 minute music video. How many views do you think this one already has after a month from the Vor in Media YouTube channel?
Well, they already have more subscribers than I would have thought, so I'm going to guess that I should aim high. Is it more than the actual, official Marilyn Manson Ate My Girlfriend video?
I'm sure it doesn't. That would be an interesting comparison. High or low? Do you think it has more views than their 10,000 subscribers, or less views than their 10,000 subscribers?
I'm going to say more.
You got it. It's got 16,000 views after 1 month. Just a 1.5 minutes, best of, and it's not commented on or anything. It's just the video with a bunch of jump cuts to cut down to just the most vor moments, I guess.
Wow.
And there is Marilyn Manson swallowing the girlfriend.
Wow.
And then they jump in Marilyn Manson's ear, and then they're inside the body. This is just a fantasy that somehow clicks with people. The idea of being swallowed whole by someone else.
Wow. Interesting.
Satan consumed her mind indeed. So there's that. No, you said, let's compare it. How many? Let's see. Relient K, My Girlfriend music video. Jiminy effing Christmas. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Wow.
What's the number, Dan?
I don't even have the will to say this. The official upload from 7 years ago of the Marilyn Manson Ate My Girlfriend music video on the Goatee Records YouTube channel has 15,000 views after 7 years.
Yep.
The Vor in Media upload got 16,000 views in 1 month.
Yep.
They're out there, Jessica. The Vor people are out there.
Yep.
And they want to be swallowed whole. Oh my gosh. I wish I'd ended with this. I'm so upset. Oh, I was thinking this is just something to get past, and we wouldn't want to open this box at the end of the episode, but wow. I give it 7 years. It's got 10,000. Yeah, it's got 1,000 less views. That's just wow. I bet you a lot of Vora Felix discovered Relient K last month with this video. They're like, hey, this is a pretty good band. I bet you in a couple months we're gonna start getting calls from people. It's just discovered the podcast. I learned about Relient K.
We had 2 new callers today. Do you think that's where they came from?
Oh, no. That's awful, but
call back. Let us know.
I'm sure not. No, because the Fire and Frenzy blog, and then I don't know. And
Danny, I'm messing with you.
No, Jessica, listen to what I have to say. I know you're messing with me. I'm kidding. Oh boy. Well, unfortunately, Relient K, as far as I can tell, has never played this song live. I didn't look at Setlist FM, but I found no I mean, I guess I should just quickly run to Setlist FM, but I found no live videos of this song played on YouTube. However, when you type in Relient K Cat, something that comes up a lot is something that we've maybe talked about randomly once, but that is Dave Douglas's band Attack Cat, that I think he does with his wife.
He does have, I think he has like 2 side projects noted, and one is with his wife, and I can't remember which is which.
All right, well, Setlist FM real quick. It says they've played Cat 3 times. They played it in Nashville on October 9th, 2016. They played it July 23rd in Akron. And they played it at the American Music Theater in Lancaster in February 2017. So, very seldom played song. And like I said, no one caught it and uploaded it to YouTube. So let's hear some of Attack Cat. I guess we'll probably do a full Patreon episode about them eventually. But, this will be fun. Sorry, I'm trying to load them right now. So yeah, Dave Douglas also had Gypsy Parade, and he's also associated with the band Agnes. I don't know if I've heard of that one. Oh, here we go. Agnes. Oh, was on Mono vs. Stereo. I just haven't checked them out before. Douglas had a solo project, Agnes. His first 3 songs debuted on the Mono vs. Stereo, My Other Band Volume 1, which was the first Mono vs. Stereo release, as we learned when we talked to Brad Moist. Douglas stated Agnes in late 2005 after tossing the idea around in his head for a few years. Started the idea. The side project was announced on MySpace. Douglas explained the name Agnes. It doesn't look like there's much news on that band. Gypsy Parade was from 2006 to 2009. It was Dave Douglas and Rachel Hoskins. Gypsy Parade was another side project. Unlike Agnes, Douglas performed for Gypsy Parade with Rachel Hoskins. They recorded a few songs. Agnes was started, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting... And then Attack Cat is also Dave Douglas and Rachel Hoskins. So, I guess they're not married. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing if I thought that. Or maybe they are, or maybe they just have different names. I don't know who Rachel Hoskins is. This is not research I was prepared exactly to do. So let's just listen. Let's forget all that. Let's figure that out in the future. Have people call us and tell us who Rachel Hoskins is. I'm sorry. We're bad with the side projects. But here is Attack Cat's song Remarkable and their full music video. Jessica and I will watch the music video and we'll listen to the song. Is this... How twee is this? They're like in old-timey top hats and stuff. It's like
a Smashing Pumpkins music video.
Yeah, it's like a post Smashing Pumpkins My Chemical Romance style music video. But then like Dave Douglas is like an 80s rocker, and I guess that is Rachel, and they're both finding umbrellas. Oh, and that's like the Mary Poppins umbrella that Dave Douglas found as an 80s rocker character. And now they're back to their My Chemical Romance. This is so confusing. But this is so Smashing Pumpkins My Chemical Romance. It's just like cute city stuff. And
look at that guy liner.
We're not really listening to the song much.
I like this cool castle.
They're just running around what I assume is maybe Cleveland or some other similar Ohio city. They're just going around being twee and cute. And I guess it's like different alternate timelines. One where they're 80s rockers and one where they're steampunks and one where they're just kind of like cool city people in regular street clothes. They're just going around doing meet cute stuff. What do you think of this?
It's cute.
It is very of that aesthetic of like the I Miss You music video from Blink-182 and stuff. So we're in top hats and she's got a pink dress, and he's got a pink shirt underneath there. Are they going to, is that a reference to Pink Tux to the Prom? I'm going to go on Genius and I'm going to say he wore a pink shirt in this song, and that is clearly, obviously a reference to Pink Tux to the Prom. So that's fun. Then this song was used for a Cleveland tourism video.
Ooh, is it fun times in Cleveland again?
That's what I was trying to use this as an excuse for. So this also sounds, hearing it like this again makes me think,
there's never been a better time to get to know Cleveland. This beautiful city on the Great Lake offers a flourishing food scene, flexible meeting spaces, and cultural attractions that rival any big city. Combine that with our rock and roll heritage, and you're guaranteed.
Is this Holly Hunter?
oh
Goodness.
Sorry, I just got the Bluetooth going. Such a mess.
You're a loud man, Superman.
You're a loud man. Don't go buy CDs, Superman. Stay home. Stay home and use iTunes, Superman. And then it like actually cuts to. So Rachel and Dave are actually some of the people running around in these quick clips of the city, and then they actually cut to Dave Douglas playing like a busker, lip syncing the song, and they're letting you know that Cleveland is
remarkable.
Positively remarkable.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's those classic early memes that I don't know if a Relient K fan is actually supposed to like or not, because they're kind of anti-Ohio. But it's fun times in Cleveland again. Also, the R words in here, so that doesn't age well. These are from 12 years ago.
I didn't remember that.
14 million views after 12 years.
Times in Cleveland again. Still Cleveland. Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. Under construction since 1868. See our river that catches on fire. It's so polluted that all our fish have AIDS. We see the...
It is a very mid-2000s.
Oh, that it is. Oops. All I remember is like the part where they're like, come look at our Scooby-Doo ghost town. It's just visuals of like just the dingiest parts of like Cleveland.
So yeah, they use the R slur in connection of like what they think is art, because I guess there's art downtown that the original uploader doesn't like. Bishop Vids. This was Bishop Vids. His early. They are him. I assume it's a guy's voice on the thing, so I assume it's his early peaking.
Well, Bishop Vids is canceled now. So.
Yeah, I know.
Almost 3 times a year. This guy has at least 2 DUIs. Flats look like a Scooby-Doo ghost town. Don't slow down in East Cleveland or you'll die.
I mean, he mentioned the river that catches on fire, and that's referenced in a Relient K song.
Yeah.
We already did that song?
We did.
Darn it, we should have mentioned that in this. Oh well.
I think we might have brought up in Mrs. Hippopotamus's this video. Okay. I don't think we played it though.
So that, like I said, is uploaded by Bishop Vids, classic 14 million view meme from 12 years ago, early meme with some problematic language in it, but otherwise funny. Did you want to hear any other Attack Cat songs? Here, well, here's another one with a full music video. There's a lot, and we'll listen to more.
Wait, so hold on. But before we go back to Attack Cat, you're telling me that Relient K has a song called Cat, and fans of preteen cats kill each other book series. I can't remember the name of it now.
Up.
Oh, okay, so that did come up.
Warrior Cats. We haven't gotten there yet. Oh, do you think though? Well, no, because Dave Douglas is.
Why didn't you start with the Warrior Cat stuff?
Well, I don't know. Why are you giving me the guff right now? So, I was just thinking, like, overthinking. Do you think the fact that Relient K came out with a song called Cat kind of steals Attack Cat's SEO? Or maybe it helps Attack Cat's SEO? And I realized, well, Dave Douglas is on air for free, so I'm sure. You know the way that supposedly Disney came out with the movie Frozen, among other reasons, so that when you Google Disney Frozen, you would no longer see stories of Walt Disney freezing his own head? And I think it's true.
Right.
Now
I could see that.
People get conspiracy theory and think that literally the movie only exists for that reason. I'm like, no. Multiple, things get...
I'm sure that played into
it.
Into the titling of it. I'm sure that this was already an idea that they were going to do.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sure that somebody in the movie department and somebody in the theme parks department was like, you know what? The Norway ride is really old and we really want to update it. What's a movie we can make that has a good tie-in?
I think the parks have a big thing to do with the movies that Disney has decided to make in the last 20 years. I think they go, like, and it's synergy. Like, they figure out a story that they really do want to tell. But I think that in, like, the writer's room or whatever it is where they're bouncing around ideas, they say, we need another Chinese set story or something, and they come up with the Maya and the Last Dragon because they're like, we have some more Chinese, space at Epcot, and it can't all be Mulan. Or I think they say we need something set in New Orleans so we can put characters at the New Orleans hotel, and so they create Princess and the Frog. But I don't think
they're not transparent with that though,
right.
Because they'll tell you that the theme parks are a completely separate entity and that they make them no money, that everything that they make off the theme parks goes right back into it, and that they only make their money from merchandising and entertainment.
And I think people who get cynical hear that this might be a possibility and they think, oh, they only made Frozen and they only made Princess and the Frog for those park, attractions. And I'm like, no, I think it all comes together in one. They probably were bouncing around like 8 ideas for ice-based properties, and they were like, well, this is the best story we've got. It's going to be called Frozen. Oh, let's set it in Norway, or let's set it in this country or that country. I think
I don't see
synergy.
why they didn't want to make Ice Skater the movie.
Poor Ice Skater.
It's the mascot at Blizzard Beach. Very little known character, but if you're unfortunate enough to work there, you know the whole story of Ice Skater.
Well, I was going to play You Want Me Crazy, which is another full music video by Attack Cat, but we'll do that another time. Instead, we'll move on to covers. There's only 2 covers I found. They're both acoustic covers. I couldn't believe there wasn't a single acoustic cover of Sahara. Sure, it's a rockin' song, but give us one acoustic. Mind-blowing that there wasn't a single one. This is Adam McMillan on SoundCloud. This is not the correct thing that I clicked. What's going on? Hold on. I clicked it and it didn't. What the heck is going on here? I clicked the SoundCloud link and it took me to my phone's clock.
Danny, we didn't even talk about the best meme of 2020 that ties into this song, I Am Not a Cat.
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
The Zoom call, the lawyer Zoom call.
Well, we can still talk about that next week during the continued Cat Suite. Here's Adam McMillan 1. I guess Adam McMillan 0 was already taken with his cover of Cat on SoundCloud.
Grab another dirty tambourine and shake it. Breaking out of a new cocoon. I be licking sandpaper clean, good gracious. When it comes, it's gonna be too soon. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Gonna live a long, long time. Loving every minute of it, calling over every little thing, don't break it. Waking up in a new cocoon. If you ever find a ball of string, I'll take it. Unwind in a music loop. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Who's that crazy cat? He's sitting in the corner with them longing guys. Who's that crazy cat? He's looking like someone dragged him in from the alleyway. Who's that crazy cat? He's laughing like he's still got 9 more lives. Who's that crazy cat? I say he looks a lot like me.
That's good. I really like that.
That's really nice, yeah.
It also kind of shows that the song is so dense on the album that it's nice to hear just the bare melody stripped down. Like that chorus that in the studio version is so big. They can kind of hide the fact that there is a really simple, nice, fun melody here. Also, all that falsetto, I think that's more falsetto Thiessen. The first times I ever heard Cat, I felt like there was a female guest vocalist for some of that part. I'm like, no, especially with the Sadie Hawkins Dance 10th anniversary version, I realized, no, Thiessen can just hit that, falsetto that you would perceive as female. And then we have the last cover here. Oh, and I like that is a great acoustic guitar sound from Adam McMillan. Although it wasn't a problem this week because there's only the 2. When I hear so many guitar covers, or not guitar covers, but acoustic covers, I'm just so used to like bad recording, and I'm like, there was almost something here, but it's badly recorded. That was very well recorded. I could feel the sort of thickness of the guitar and the bassiness of his acoustic guitar, and I really enjoyed
really
that.
good.
It also helps that we're playing it on the Bluetooth in the room. So here's one by Joshua Corley, Croyle. This was from 3 years ago, and this is the only other cover of Cat that I found.
Grab another dirty tambourine and shake it, breaking out of a new cocoon. I've been licking sandpaper green, good gracious. Coming out, could it be too soon? Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Gonna live a long, long time. Oh, 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 oh. And I'm loving every minute of it.
Now, see, this is the exact opposite of Adam's in terms of recording, right? The recording's a little rougher. The guitar actually sounds a little like less well-tuned and looser and cheaper. It still has a great aesthetic. It still has that back porch aesthetic of like pressing on or whatever. So it's still got its own thing going. I'm not tearing it down against Adam's, but I love that the fact that we had Adam's, which was so well recorded and sounded really good, and then we have this sort of like back room one, which at least doesn't sound as bad as some of those YouTube covers I'm talking about. Also, there's no visual to this. It's just an audio recording and the words Cat Relient K acoustic cover in the image. Let's hear a little. Oh, and this version is cut down to only 2 minutes. So let's just skip ahead a little bit.
Who's that crazy cat sitting in the corner with them longing eyes? Who's that crazy cat looking like someone dragged him in from the alleyway? Who's that crazy cat laughing like he's still got 9 more lives? Who's that crazy cat? I say he looks a lot like me.
It's great. So I'm glad at least the 2 covers that I found were really good.
Great. Don't we have a JC Keith cover? Because they did the whole Air for Free
Oh my gosh.
album.
You're right. You're right. I completely forgot. Well, you know, JC Keith on YouTube, they reimagined all of Air for Free. They recovered all of Air for Free. When you search Air for Free songs on YouTube, they don't always come up because like they're not tagged as Relient K. They're just tagged as JC Keith songs because they're officially published. And under most circumstances, you don't necessarily put Relient K cover if you're an officially published song. You just do a cover. So you're right. Thank you so much. Here is JC Keith's cover of Cat.
Grab another dirty tambourine and shake it. Waking up in a new cocoon. I've been licking sandpaper clean, good gracious. When it comes, gonna be too soon. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Gonna live a long, long time. Oh, 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 oh. Loving every minute of it. Climbing over every little thing, don't break it. Waking up in a new cocoon. If you ever found a ball string, I'll take it. Oh, while in the music bloom. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Who's that crazy cat? He's sitting in the corner with the longing eyes. Who's that crazy cat? He's looking like someone dragged him in from the alleyway. Who's that crazy cat? He's laughing like I still got 9 more lives. Who's that crazy cat? I say he looks a lot like me. Oh, 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 oh.
That's great. That's really good.
I like that. I was vibing.
Yeah. I feel like when we go through JC Keith Air for Free songs, kind of like dividing them out like we do with K for Karaoke, it's like, was this a successful cover or was this just kind of like, this is a cover, you know? And I feel bad because we're friends with JC Keith, but I'm sure doing a whole cover of an entire album is a lot of work. But this one is really well transformed. Along with, I think it was Mountaintop. I think their cover of Mountaintop is one of the covers they did where it like hit me in a specific way really well, exactly like the real version would. That was a great cover. I suggest everyone go check out J.C. Keith's entire Air for Free reimagined cover album. So, while there was Vor, we'll start earlier on, we talked about that. We'll go to a relatively tamer sphere.
I guess that makes sense because vor means like consumption.
Right. But we'll take a step back from something like vor, which I barely know about and I introduced you to for the first time. We'll go to a relatively, more quaint world of pole dancing from that.
Nice.
So this is a pole dancing video set to Cat by Relient K.
Wow.
Uploaded by Sandapa Sharma 4 years ago.
Well, this is an interesting version of Cat.
Well, this is raw footage from like the club. And it's like a burlesque show. It's not like a strip.
Nice.
It's not like a strip club, but it's like a cafe, and they're putting on a burlesque type show, as opposed.
The lady's dressed like a cat. There's also a man with a cat.
And they're chasing
tail
each
and
other
hats
around
on.
the pole, and she's like hitting him with cat toys and
Oh,
stuff.
she's
And now she's climbing
it.
up the pole.
So much strength. It takes so much strength to do that. I could never.
This is called. I guess this event is called the Circus Studio. Or maybe that's the name of the pole. Oh, he's climbing up there, too.
Yeah. That's great.
So this might not be proper burlesque in the way that I was thinking it. When I quickly watched it, I'm like, there's theme, there's narrative. It's not... It's provocative, but it's not overly adult. So I thought it was burlesque. But it's really just kind of like a pole dancing performance set to this song. Oh,
wow. Oof.
Oh.
Oof, I felt that.
Oh, she slid down.
I'm sure she did it in a way that was not painful, but yeah, that looked painful. Yeah, I've heard that is a great workout, but man, I could not. I had the hardest time climbing the rope as a child, and I used to be strong, but as a child, I was like sickeningly thin. And so my little chicken arms could not get me up there, and now my flabby arms can't get me up there either. So
well, I actually found a lot of stuff just typing in Relient K Cat. We have been going for a while, so I guess we can't get to it all. None of all of it's great. There's someone put tinfoil on his cat's feet and let him go and walk around, and it's like, there's tinfoil on his feet. But I'm like, the cat's dealing with it pretty well. The cat just kind of slowly walks around. It's not as funny. It's set to 3 Relient K songs. It's set to Mood Rings. It's like a 7-minute video.
I thought maybe it was like a suite of cat songs.
No, it's just Relient K songs as background in post. Mood Rings and maybe Chapstick or Overthinking or something like that. The Cecilia Report came up again. That vlog. Yeah. Because she has cats, and in one episode, and she always uses Savannah as a theme song, and she showed off her cats. I mean, that's great. This one. Here's one. So this is one of those micro AMVs, a portion, 11 seconds of the song, set to The Great Mouse Detective. Which, I guess it's technically more vor, because this is the moment where the cat eats one of the mice.
Oh, wow.
And this really traumatized me as a cat. I got a secret to tell you, Jess. I just let it slip. I used to be a cat. The Great Mouse Detective, the villain, right? He controls this cat. They're all mice.
Right.
He controls this cat. And he can have the cat go attack any mouse he wants. They demonstrate in the story that he has this sort of power by having him eat the least helpful mouse on the bad guy team. But he's also a drunk, cute mouse. But even though he's technically a bad guy, and it really traumatized me as a kid. So then I see this 11-minute AMV, and it's loving every minute of it, and it's he's.
11 seconds. It's not 11 minutes.
It's been a hard time trying to...
It's a weird audio as well.
Yeah.
It's there's a filter or something on there.
But this is a bad guy cat. This is an evil cat that eats innocent mice. Innocent cartoon mice. This isn't a sweet cat that's gonna... I don't want this cat to live a long time. I want this cat
goodness.
This is a bad guy cat that traumatized me as a kid.
I'm sorry.
So I'm not happy with Strag Productions' 11-second AMV set to Great Mouse Detective. I like that movie. I don't like that moment.
So, Danny, would you say that you like Cats more, the same, or less than before this episode?
I like cats. We're both allergic to cats. Jessica's way more allergic to cats than me. But I can deal with it when I need to deal with it. And I like cats. Cats are sweet, even if they're aloof. But I do like this song a lot better than I liked it before I started, to be honest. Like, I always gave this one a pass, or I would only listen to it when I was specifically thinking I'll listen to the whole album. But now I feel like I'm going to seek this song out specifically going forward.
Nice. Yeah, I like this song about the same. I enjoyed it before, and I enjoy it the same now.
Great. Well, before we head out, you gotta go check out patreon.com/SadieHawkinspod. At the $5 tier, you get access to all my notes, because there's so many weird cat videos I found that we didn't get to. I don't think we're going to do a Patreon about them, but you can go check out my notes and see all those YouTube videos.
And if you're more of a dog person, you can go hear our Patreon episode that's all about April.
She slowly opened her eyes. She's like, what? You're supposed to be working.
She's staring you down. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
I was going to say, who's that crazy dog?